Ryan Dossey went from $20,000 a year working his butt off to $20,000 in one real estate deal and not really having to work very hard. Sounds like a really great way to make a living, right? Well, Ryan's going to tell us exactly how he's doing that. He's going to be able to help you here on the Fearless Investor Podcast. Hey, welcome into the Fearless Investor Podcast. I'm Kyle Stanley, and if you have not already, make sure you follow us on Instagram at Fearless Kyle, where we're dropping tons of information, tons of content, whether it's Airbnb, real estate, or overall investments. That's exactly why you're listening to this podcast. And if you are listening to this podcast and you just feel like, man, I'm getting a lot of information, I just don't feel like I have a true set path yet of where I want to take this, then I would really encourage you to just book a call with me and let's get some of those questions answered to give you a clearer path on where you're going to go. That's absolutely free with me. It's just fearlesskyle.com/consultation. And I'll answer your questions. I'll drive you to resources that will help you to get onto that path. And I just like being able to connect with as much of my audience as possible so that it's not just you feeling good about learning things, that you actually taking action. And that's what it's all about here. Is that's why you're listening to this podcast, is because you've got some sort of need of learning, or maybe you've got a fear of something that you just haven't been able to get over. And you need that little piece of information. You need that one little aha moment to say, now I can take action, and I want to help you to do that. So that's hopefully what today with Ryan Dossey is going to do. Ryan, I first heard about him on the Bigger Pockets podcast. So he's been around. He's talking on a lot of other podcasts that been a reason why I wanted to get him on this show. He's doing a lot of things in a very condensed amount of time. He's helping other people to do that, and he's going to help you to do that today here on the Fearless Investor Podcast. Let's get to it with Ryan Dossey. Hey guys, welcome into the show. Today's episode is brought to you by our Airbnb profit calculator. Hey, we all know that you're a savvy investor. You love making money in your sleep, but you also wish you were able to find a way to bring in more than that $200 per door, right? Well, what if you could? In fact, what if you could bring in over $1,000 per door or more? And yes, Airbnb really can deliver those type of results. I'm experiencing them. If you download the Airbnb profit calculator for free to start evaluating your properties, you will see what you could potentially make. So go to fearlessflipping.com/Airbnb host to download this free, again, it's free calculator and learn how to get started in Airbnb. Now let's get to it with Ryan Dossey. Ryan is coming in from San Diego, California, a place where I used to live. So I have a lot of emotional connection to there, but very pleased to have Ryan on the show. He's got a huge, huge success story, and he's going to share that all with us here today on the Fearless Flipping Podcast. Ryan, thanks for being in.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So as always, love asking, what is your most interesting or weirdest real estate investing story? Let's kick it off there.
So I think I'll go weirdest.
Okay.
So I had a bird deal somebody got murdered in, but I'm not going to do that one. So we were buying this house, and it was kind of in a, A-class, first-time home buyer, Vinyl Village-y kind of a neighborhood. And we were buying it from a single guy, and it was the weirdest house I've ever been in. So it looks totally normal from the outside, and you walk in and stuff is pretty heavily Star Wars themed.
Okay.
He shows us his bedroom, and there's literally a cot in the corner with Princess Leia pillows and Star Wars decorations. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. We knew this guy was full on a little creepy though, when in the bathroom, the wall across from the toilet, he had a laminated, hand-drawn, fully nude Princess Leia tacked to the wall.
Oh no.
We were just okay, cool. I'm going to wash my hands.
So was his nickname Jabba the Hutt or what?
Man, so the funnier thing with this guy is it was one of the most frustrating deals we've touched.
Okay.
In that he had a Department of Revenue, or it was one of those low income housing loans. I don't know what they call them, but basically trying to help somebody keep their homes. They don't lose it to the bank. It's a second position that effectively gets forgived as long as they make payments on it for a couple of years. So we ended up going under contract on the deal. He had this $30,000 loan that he forgot about.
Oh gosh.
And we actually got it negotiated down to $0.
Wow.
Got it totally wiped out. Good deal, ready to close. And he goes, I've changed my mind
Oh no.
after like 2 months worth of work. And it was like, okay, cool. So we left our recorded NOI to Cloud Title. So if he ever does want to sell, Mr. Princess Leia has to call me and pay me first.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so really quickly, I mean, obviously not the way you wanted it to turn out, but to get a $30,000 loan negotiated down to $0, walk me through that. How did that happen?
So our title company actually did the bulk of the heavy lifting on it. They reached out to somebody kind of with this program, and it was a situation where he was going to start to fall behind again.
Got it.
So we basically made the angle of like, look, you guys are actually doing the opposite of what you intended if you don't forgive this. I mean, there was something I think like 9 or 10 months left in like the repayment period before it just like goes away. It's something like they want them to make payments on it, but it like they forgive the bulk of it. I don't know how it works. I mean, literally like free money, I guess. And so they were kind of getting towards that timeline. And we were like, look, if you guys don't do this, you're actually doing the opposite of your organization's entire goal. And that this guy is going to end up getting foreclosed on, have a foreclosure on his credit, instead of getting to walk with a little bit of cash. So, what can we do here? And it was a lot of back and forth. They came down 10 grand, they came down 15 grand. And we were just like, look, in order for this to work, like, you guys just have to pretend we're 6 months in the future. And title company kind of got it worked up the chain, and like the director of the program ended up signing off on a total forgiveness.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
would have been cool, but
Yeah. Well, hey, the Jedi mind tricks only took you so far, I guess,
yeah,
on that one.
absolutely.
Well, hey, Ryan, again, thanks for being on the show. You've got your own show, The Good Stewards, and you've also got a YouTube channel that we would love to direct people to, which is just if you Google search Ryan Dossey YouTube, it pretty much pops up. But,
Yep.
I want people to really hear your story as we dive in. And I mean, it's a really good one. And just doing a little bit of research on you, people will see just how quickly you grew. But I would love to hear just from the beginning, where were you before real estate and what brought you to it? And just a little bit of your resume too would be just awesome for our audience to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So before real estate investing, I was doing car warranty sales. So if
Okay.
you've ever gotten one of those like annoying postcards of like, your factory warranties expired, I was the guy you'd call and talk to. It was a big industry in St. Louis, which is where I was initially from. And I actually started doing full-time sales in that industry at 17.
Wow.
So yeah, didn't technically graduate high school. My older brother was in the industry and was like, hey, you should check this out. And so I gave it a shot. My first month went really well. I actually finished first in the company I was at. And as a 17-year-old, my check, like pre-tax, I think was 15 or 16 grand.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, it was I was pretty much ruined at that point. So that was kind of where I started as far as sales background and answering phones and that side of things. The problem with that industry was every year it got harder and harder to make the same amount of money. So
Hmm.
I got married at 20, and my wife and I kind of had this interesting, almost like backwards thing from how most couples go. If we started out and we had tons of cash, and then like 3-4 years later, my last year doing car warranty sales pre-tax, I only made 21 grand.
Oh wow.
So went from like, oh yeah, you want to go to Europe, that's cool, we should absolutely go to Hawaii this year as well, to like, okay, what is a budget? Like,
Yeah. Right.
how does this work?
Mm.
So personally, I got pretty pretty depressed, pretty angry. It was not a lot of fun. My phone would ring and I'd be like, screw this.
Yeah.
And I'd pick it up over and over and over again. And it was about that time that a coworker of mine, there was this guy named Ron who was always talking about wholesaling and how much money he was making. And um, long story short, me, him, and another guy were going to go into business together. Ron decided I was too young and was like, yeah, let's cut Ryan out. And I was like, well, no, let's give this a shot. So me and the other guy actually ended up working together for about a year. Unfortunately, Ron still works doing car warranty sales. So
Gotcha. Okay. Missed the boat
yeah,
there.
yeah, I think he missed the boat a little bit. So I kind of started doing that as like a side hustle. And it just got to the point that I was too, and how do I put this? I was just ruined for having a normal job, right?
Right.
So, I went into my boss's office to quit, and I was like, look, here's what I made on one deal. Here's what you've paid me for the year. I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. And that was kind of my foray into going full time with this.
So you started out with just wholesaling then?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know anybody who wants to get like my origin, just go find me on Bigger Pockets. I was the guy who asked all the stupid questions. Stuff like, okay, I sent mail out, phone calls are coming in. What do I do now? Okay, cool. Where do I get a contract? All right, I think I got a deal under contract. How do I sell it? So yeah, absolutely. I started out wholesaling, did everything wrong. I mean, I'd get a deal under contract and throw it on Zillow as a for sale by owner. I mean,
Oh gosh.
we did
Yeah.
not know what we were doing. But yeah, that was kind of my initial foray into real estate investing.
Well, the important thing is that you did it though.
Yeah.
You went for it. There's so many people that just educate, and never take any action. It sounds like you were the
Oh, I
opposite.
was the
You were,
opposite.
yeah, you were taking action and then educating yourself.
Yeah, we our first month, we put $3,000 worth of marketing. Me and my buddy Ryan, I put my half on a credit card I couldn't pay off and didn't tell my wife. If you're married, not a great plan, but worked out at the time. Our first month, we got our first deal, and our like check to us profit was over $10,000.
Wow.
So at a time when I was making 21 a year, and I'm looking at a check with my name on it for 10, 11, I was like, what am I doing with my life? So,
Wow.
yeah, I've been hooked ever since.
That's amazing. So you've been doing the wholesaling and real estate side for how long? What year was that when you started?
So that was probably 2014. So about 6 years.
Okay. Now fast forward to today. Where's your business at?
So on the buy and hold side, we own a little under 9 million worth
Mm.
of
Wow.
rentals. And that's a mix of single family, small multifamily. I think the biggest we've got is a 12 unit. But we've got a lot of 8, a lot of 7, a lot of 6 unit type stuff. So my kind of slogan is we keep the best and wholesale, or flip the rest, right? So we're kind of keeping the cream of the crop and wholesaling out what we don't want. Our like 2020 goals are 1 million in assignments and profit from wholesales and flips, and another 3 to 4 million in assets for the portfolio.
Wow. And you were telling me off the mic here that everything's in Indianapolis. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So I am now at this point an out of state California investor, I guess.
What brought you to Indianapolis? And I guess really more so like what was the value that you saw in Indianapolis rather than just doing something in your backyard?
Yeah. So I'd like to pretend that I like did all kinds of market research and was like, oh, phenomenal economy.
Right.
It was nothing like that. So I'd been going in real estate for about a year, and my wife decided to get her doctorate in psychology. So she was accepted into a program at the University of Indianapolis. So totally followed her out there, knew nothing about the market, and just kind of bull in a china shopped my way through, C and D class neighborhoods, figuring out where stuff was.
Wow. Nice. And just getting your feet wet over there, what did you like about the market?
So, I mean, honestly, I don't view the market itself as particularly special.
Hmm.
I still like St. Louis a lot. I would invest there again. Um, it's just your typical Midwestern market. There's definitely some perks to it, but I wouldn't say it's like uniquely special, or if I was starting over that I would like pick that out on a map. In fact, there's some other ones I may pick above it, but the perks with it is it's relatively stable. You don't have this crazy appreciation, but then again, you don't have like crazy drops either. It's a pretty diverse industry. They call it like the Silicon Valley of the Midwest. There's, like Salesforce is based out of there. There's decent amount of jobs and stuff. Amazon has fulfillment centers, that kind of stuff. So I would say it's kind of your typical stable Midwestern city, like a St. Louis, a Kansas City, a Cincinnati or Columbus, Ohio. It's just, kind of your even keel conservative Midwestern town.
Okay, cool. So what does the business model look like for that? I mean, if someone's sitting here thinking, just like you, they're in San Diego and they're like, man, raising money in San Diego, or when you're doing wholesaling, you don't necessarily need to do that, but you've done a lot of burrs, and when you go to refinance, well, originally have to buy it. And so
Mm-hmm.
buying something in San Diego is really expensive. It's a lot of money to raise. So if someone's listening right now and saying, man, I would love to be in the Midwest because I can raise and bring my money a lot further with $100,000 than I would in San Diego. I think a lot of people are probably wondering, what does that business model look like? There's probably some boots on the ground over there. There's probably, I don't know, maybe a lot of virtual assistants. Like, kind of walk me through exactly how you're organizing
Well, I mean, if they don't want to just lend to me directly, shameless plug. So I'll be kind of blunt. I'm more of a fan of either investing in your own backyard. So using Airbnb or ADUs or finding a way to cash flow in a market like San Diego, because you also have perks to being in a market like San Diego. The pretty much, yeah, there's ups and downs, but it's also like historically California's gone up.
that. Mm-hmm.
Um, or being in a satellite market, something you can drive to maybe an hour or two away. Or I like to be somewhere where you already have, friends, family, somebody you can kind of lean on. I think it's a lot more difficult and a lot more risky to just kind of like pick a location on a map, throw a dart, and like, okay, cool, we're going to Wichita Falls, right? So my team, as far as how it looks there, we basically have two separate businesses that are entwined into one. So we have kind of this lead gen marketing machine. We have the #1 Google ranking, like We Buy Houses website. We do direct mail. We do pay-per-click ads. We do Facebook ads. So we have the staff that is all of those calls going to my answering service called Porter. So they're screening for like equity, motivation, condition, and then booking appointments for my staff that's on the ground. And we have an acquisitions manager whose job is to go out, look at properties, come up with the ARV, estimate the repair costs, and make the offers, get the deals closed. We have an ISA, an inside sales agent. So that guy's whole job is to take anybody who didn't initially book an appointment with us and try to get them to an appointment. He's also following up with any of the offers we made, trying to get them to closed deals. Then we have kind of management staff over those guys. On our rental side, we have a full-time admin. So she's over all of our payables, receivables, in and out. She's super tough. Love her. She'll call me and be like, what is this? So we've got her. We have a full-time property manager. We have a maintenance guy on staff, and then we have a leasing assistant. So, I mean,
Awesome.
all in all, you're talking a team of 8 people.
That's awesome. And what is your role in all of that? Is it mainly just to oversee and make sure those people are doing their jobs, or do you take any active role in the business outside of that?
So this like makes me sound good, but also bad at the same time. My role is honestly somewhat passive.
Good.
So the thing I'm uniquely skilled at is getting off market deals. So kind of my role in our business is to make the phones ring. So I'm working on things like, Facebook ads, direct mail campaigns, new niche lists, making sure that stuff is going out. But we do have kind of a manager that's in Indianapolis who's kind of over all the moving pieces and people. So yeah, that was, we actually brought him in as an equity owner. His name's Noah, great guy. That was kind of a big, like weird change for me because it was always what I wanted, but it's something else to have what you want, right? Be careful what you wish for because you might get it. So at this point, I'm pretty much over just kind of building the brand, getting more leads in, working on things like building the buyers list. And then I do kind of audit and keep them accountable on the acquisition side of, hey, we've had 10 appointments this week. Why don't we have a deal yet?
Mm-hmm.
Are any of these close? Or, hey, we have 10 appointments, but my CRM shows you guys made 7 offers. Why didn't we make offers to 3 people? That kind of stuff. But I'm not, involved in the day-to-day. I'm not talking to tenants. I'm not, posting for rent stuff on Craigslist or anything like that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. See, I just feel like there's so many opportunities to automate this business, whether you're in rentals or the active side of real estate with flipping or wholesaling or anything. And I just think that people don't ever get to that point of automating it because they're afraid of letting go of control, passing over leads, and things slipping through the cracks. Was that a fear that you had to get over?
So for starters, they will,
Yeah.
right? It's not going to go perfectly. So my dad always owned his own companies, and his issue was he was always the one-man show. So everything had to go through him. All decisions were made by him, all billing, all invoicing, all collections, all material orders, all fulfillment, right? So I kind of grew up seeing that and knew that that's what I didn't want. So my challenge was actually the opposite of his, if I would delegate stuff too quickly. And sometimes I maybe wasn't clear enough, or I didn't set proper expectations. So, it definitely, I would say I'm on the other side of that. If I don't struggle to delegate, if anything, I pass it off too fast. But I learned kind of early on as a kid that the solopreneur, everything goes through me approach just isn't scalable. It's not sustainable. It's also not smart for your family because, if I get sick and I'm out for,
right,
a month, right? Well, how do my bills get paid? Right. I can
100%.
tell you from watching my dad, you went to work sick. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I can relate to that big time. My dad owned his own business, and for 40 years, I saw him working from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 10 months out of the year, and then taking 2 months off and still having business on his mind.
Yep.
So I know
our dads would get along well.
Well, that's awesome. I think that's a better place to be, honestly, as I've started to really dive in and let go of control, especially when it comes to like on the Airbnb side for my business, knowing that, hey, I'm going to pass off communication to someone who is going to talk to our guests instead of me is very, very nerve wracking, or someone that's going to accept or decline guests instead of me. It's like, I'm so OCD that it's like, oh, wait, why aren't they responding within 5 minutes? I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, I got to just delete this app off of my phone because I need to give full trust to this person. But
yeah,
it's really for people like our dads, or even people like me who that naturally comes to, where it's like, that saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Couldn't be further from the truth. Right.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a learning process, I think, for the majority of people.
I kind of look at it as just, what are you uniquely gifted at?
Yes.
And for me, that has been marketing. So that's my seat on the bus. That's where I need to hang out. Now, I've even learned beyond that while it's something I'm uniquely good at, there's people that are better than me that I can hire. They're just more expensive than most people would imagine paying. But I'm kind of realizing, in order to make this the best that it can be, instead of me taking my time to run and tweak things like Facebook ads, we've brought in a girl who charges $4,000 a month to run our stuff.
That's great.
Now, that's not something we've done like lightly. This is somebody I know very well, who has a track record, who I've worked with before, right? So that is one thing I'm always hesitant with handing stuff off. But I kind of did the whole like boy wonder thing for a little bit of like, oh, I know how to do this. I can do this. I can oversee that. And what I've realized is I would rather take kind of like the Steve Jobs, Elon Musk route and just hire the people that are the best in the world at what they do and let them blow it up, instead of me trying to like, hodgepodge it together on my shoestring budget.
Hey, my friend Pace Morby says, delegate your deficiencies. And I think that's the best way to put it. Or like what I say, delegate what you suck at. So
Yep.
You brought it up a few times now. I got to ask you, where are most of your deals coming from?
Good question. So direct mail is by far our most consistent lead source. So I don't do any what we call like gray area marketing. So I'm not doing bandit signs. I'm not doing these like crappy postcards that are like, your cash offer's expiring. I've tried I don't believe in kicking a relationship off with dishonesty. We're not doing cold calling. We're not doing text blasting. We're not doing ringless voicemails. So we truly are operating in the clear at scale. I've got friends that do really well on some of the gray area stuff, but it's also like, I've got other friends that are getting sued for it. So I would rather have a business model that's scalable and legal, as opposed to something that I'm, looking over my shoulder for. So yeah, direct mail is by far our most consistent.
Awesome. You have mentioned though, leads coming through your website, Facebook ads. I don't hear a lot of people really taking advantage of that, to find sellers. How's been your experience with that?
With which piece exactly?
Well, I guess both. Just more of the online website driven in general, whether that's Facebook ads or traffic being driven to your website.
Sure.
Anything along those lines for online.
Yeah. So pay-per-click ads or SEO ads are people that are directly searching for what you have to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So those are always going to be the highest quality of lead. The problem is there's only a certain number of them. Right. So with direct mail, we're getting in front of somebody that maybe doesn't even know that our solution exists.
Sure.
Whereas with pay-per-click, it's somebody searching for our solution. It's kind of like somebody Googling a particular Dyson model vacuum that they want versus somebody Googling like how to clean up crumbs, right? So
okay.
One, both could potentially buy a Dyson. One is like hot and ready to go. The other is kind of like, I don't, yeah, maybe I'm interested, come out, make me an offer, that kind of a thing. So it's definitely something we're getting deals off of. But I kind of learned early on that I wanted to be in control of my lead flow, not wait for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you had any of this, but I started pretty young and I had some older guys that were kind of like, oh, we're going to bring you into all this cool stuff. And then it's like nothing ever happened. So I spent kind of like 2 years waiting on other people's like promises for what they were going to do for me to pan out. And like end of 2016, I was like, screw it. Like I'm going to figure this out on my own. I'm like done playing games with these people that are just being stupid. And I mean, that's kind of the same way I view like SEO or pay-per-click leads is like, I'm not just going to wait for people to find me. I'm going to go out and find them myself as well.
That's good.
So I don't know, kind of taking control of it, I guess.
That's good. No, I hear about that a lot, especially right now as we continue to get closer to what a lot of people are calling either going to be a correction or a crash. I think the more in control you are of your leads, the better, which is something that I'm now expanding into as well, is figuring out how can I have more control, because so far in my business, it's been a lot of, connecting with wholesalers, connecting with realtors who are investor friendly. And that does definitely cater more towards hey, bring me a deal rather than me proactively going and finding a deal. So that's just good affirmation.
Just pencil too. I mean, the numbers just pencil. So like my typical cost per acquisition with myself and the guys I work with is under $3,000 to find a deal. My typical profit selling something I don't want to somebody like you is 17,000.
Yeah.
Right. So, I know a lot of investors that are like, oh, I'm not really investing because we can't guarantee that it's going to pan out. But it's kind of like, the amount of money buy and hold investors and BRRRR investors and even flippers send to wholesalers is insane. Don't get me wrong. I love wholesaling when I'm on the side of getting paid. Right. So, and there are people that no matter what they pay on an assignment are never going to go out and find their own deals. And that's totally cool. I get it. It is a business in and of itself. So I definitely understand both sides, but I kind of view it like, if you're going to be in this industry, you might as well learn how to find what you're after. It'd be like a jeweler hoping somebody brings in and sells them a watch instead of going out and finding inventory and kind of creating those pipelines.
Yep. Okay. That's good. Hey, we're getting towards the end here, and I would feel really bad if I didn't at least ask this question. I've written it down. What do you think is the reason, or one of the reasons, that, over the span of your business, you really did grow very quickly? Some people would say yes, some people would say no, but to the normal average person, you grew very quickly, $9 million in just around 5 years. That's amazing. So what was the one thing, or maybe a few things, that really led towards you building that quick?
Relationships. So in 2016, I wholesaled 6 houses and I was dealing with somebody who was wasting my time. In 2017, I started to make new relationships and I did 74 deals.
Wow.
Now I also got more consistent in my marketing and started spending a lot more money, but I was confident in that because I had people that were doing what they said they would do. 2018, we did something like 30 or 40 deals, but we did like 675K in assignments, and I kept 73 units for our portfolio.
Wow.
And then 2019, we did about another 30 deals and kept we did another 30 wholesales and we kept another 70 units. So a lot of that came into, I made a relationship with a guy who's now one of the hosts on the podcast we run, who is a large buy and hold investor. They initially reached out to me wanting me to wholesale them inventory, and instead brought me in as a part owner and kind of took off from there. So I don't know. I think being open to partnerships where they make sense when people bring different things to the table.
That's awesome. Great stuff, Ryan. Hey, so relationships is what I'm hearing, and then really just letting go of control. Is there anything else that you really want to leave with our audience for
consistency in marketing? Yeah. If you do one mail drop of $3,000 and sit back and wait for it to pan out. I've got a mail campaign I did in November of last year that I haven't gotten anything off of. And I think we're going to get a deal off of it this week. Right.
Wow.
If I was waiting to like prove that campaign worked, I wouldn't have marketed in December, January, February, or now March. Right. We've done a lot of deals in the meantime. So it hurts. It's scary sometimes, but be consistent.
Awesome. I love it. How can people connect with you?
Honestly, hit me up through YouTube. It's probably going to be the best way to do it. My website's on there, my email's on there, all that good stuff.
Perfect. And then the podcast is called The Good Stewards. How often are you releasing content there?
Every single week.
Nice.
Yep.
Good stuff, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for being with us and helping our audience to conquer real estate investing.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Okay, everyone, show notes for this one, fearlesskyle.com/Ryan Dossey, RyanDossey. As you could tell, this was an episode that we did that was filmed and edited and produced before all the coronavirus stuff started happening. And so this was a lot more just about focusing in on what are good practices in your entire world, and letting go of control was something that we were talking a lot about before all this Corona stuff started happening. And now it's really about taking back control of where you're going to go, but finding ways to continue to, as you're taking back control, find ways to let go of that control. So you're learning new things, you're learning new habits. You got to take control of those new habits so that you can master it. But at some point you have to let go of it. You have to automate it so that you can scale. Hopefully that resonates with you. Hopefully that really does click with you no matter where you're at. If you're learning, if you're trying to take things to the next level, or if you're trying to scale a business, letting go of control is something that has to happen once you have finally mastered that task, that business, that anything in life. Outsourcing and letting go of control is just so powerful. So again, fearlesskyle.com/Ryan Dossey for those show notes, and you can continue to plug into all of our content so that you will be able to conquer the world of investing. Thanks so much for joining us.